It's a pleasure to be here with such a distinguished group of speakers and international experts. Surely there is a lot to gain from such a valuable gathering, and I'm confident that we are all doing our best to make the most of this select program. So as you know, this year in ADF, we are talking about mapping tomorrow while managing uncertainties. In this respect, the topic of this roundtable today is particularly interesting, as there definitely is some mapping to do between the fundamental concepts of traditional geopolitics and the new dynamics of up-and-coming technopolitics. And we need to do this mapping in the presence of numerous uncertainties regarding where AI technology is leading us. So today, I would like to use this opportunity to perhaps outline my general understanding of the positioning and roles diplomacy and diplomats should have in this period of intense uncertainty in the wake of the AI age. I think we should start off our analysis with what we know with certainty about this new era. We know that traditional dynamics of geopolitics are currently being augmented with the emerging dynamics of what can be called technopolitics. In other words, we observe that the power factors shaping international relations are changing. We know that the very concepts of autonomy and sovereignty are changing in the wake of the cyber world. In other words, we sense that sovereignty can no longer be defined based on geographical borders only. We know that the very concept of governance itself is evolving further as the world enters intense digitization following the globalization phase. In other words, we note the new challenges put forward by the private sector power structures that try to compete with governments in establishing their own authority. We are aware of the code is law approach, the power of algorithms, and their geopolitical relations. On top of all these, as we think about the progress of AI technologies recently, we all become more and more aware of the urgent need for the establishment of a human-centric technology ecosystem. A technology ecosystem which will lay the groundwork for the rise of a fairer world, as our President, Mr. Recep Tayyip Erdogan, puts it. An ecosystem which will prevent the rise of private sector monopolies. An ecosystem which will not exploit human vulnerabilities. An ecosystem which will not be eager to take part in atrocities. An ecosystem which will mitigate the digital divide and digital asymmetries rooted across the globe. As the fundamental concepts of governance and politics are being reinvented and the projection for AI development is being made, there are, of course, intense expectations from the field of diplomacy itself. Diplomacy should, on the one hand, work towards establishing the cooperative, meaning simultaneously competitive and cooperative environments for achieving the good AI or human-centric AI. But beyond that, the field of diplomacy should also make extensive use of AI technology itself to meet the ever-increasing efficiency and speed standards in the contemporary world, while also meeting the demanding trustworthiness expectations. Therefore, it's fair to say that the field of diplomacy is unique, in the sense that it is both a major driving force, but also a fierce and trying test ground for use and development of AI technologies. So how should the foreign ministries adapt their practices in the face of these emerging realities? Well, I believe they should spearhead the efforts to create a new mindset, to understand and shape the evolving concepts of autonomy and sovereignty. To this end, they need to make sense of the digital monopolies that emerge in a supposedly liberal realm of the internet and come up with ways to mitigate them. They should maybe present a framework to help us all understand what awaits the Westphalian nation-state after it has gone through globalization and is now finally facing the challenges of the cyber world. They should try to foresee the new disruptions to come when instead of AI, to human interactions, we start dealing with AI to AI interactions. And all these efforts should hopefully and eventually lead to an international legal framework for the digital world through the consensus of all nations, which is again a direction that has been articulated by our President, Mr. Recep Tayyip Erdogan, towards the establishment of a fairer world. As if not enough, regarding rivalry, the ministries will obviously also need to help formulate roadmaps to ensure that their nation becomes stronger in the AI arena. And while doing all that, to achieve all these challenging tasks, the foreign ministries themselves will need to stay on top of their game. Let's not forget that diplomatic responses nowadays are given in a matter of hours instead of days as before, and the responses are subjected to truthfulness tests almost immediately. So they will need to use AI effectively to meet the new standards of speed, quality, and trustworthiness in their services. So let's see it. This is almost like trying to win in a game while also simultaneously trying to set the rules of the game in coordination with other participants, while also changing the outfit simultaneously. We all know that this is extremely hard. To achieve these tremendous tasks concurrently, I believe the ministries should put forward some tenets and principles. When it comes to using AI, I think the ministries should see AI as a means to augment the fundamental workflows as opposed to substituting them. Human-in-the-loop practices and approaches should be the priority when it comes to automation in negotiation and analysis procedures. But beyond that, perhaps more importantly, the ministries should work on improving their institutional capacities with regards to understanding, shaping, and using AI technology. They need to place this understanding in their organizational DNA, if you will. This means reorganization. This means training. This means investing in developing relations with academia towards naming the new concepts of the digital age. I think this is my 2 cents at this round.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to have a follow-up question, especially as you have mentioned about the power of the code and the algorithms. So if I translate it as the compute power in the international system, I would like to ask countries, proactive countries such as Turkey, as a rising techno power in the international system, which steps should be taken to building a national resilient structure for the transnational dependencies?
Well, thank you very much for the question. This is a question that probably deserves many hours of discussion, but let me just try to respond in a few seconds, in a few sentences, if you will. Well, obviously, all these nations will need to, as you have mentioned earlier, to build their presence in the digital world through the development and deployment of their native and national technologies. And beyond that, they should build an effective practice environment through working on their legislations to come up with what we can call a flexible yet level playing field for the digital enterprises and startups. But most importantly, again, I think they should work and try and prevent the trap of representation gaps. They should be assertive in their efforts towards shaping the new international order, if you will, for the establishment of a symmetric digital world. And quite frankly, as a member of parliament, I'm proud to say, and I'm very happy to say, that Turkey is doing incredible strides in all of these accounts.